Welcome to Overtime the Podcast, a show dedicated to all things watches, with a special love for micro brands and their affordable range. I'm your host Praka, and some of you might know me as Kinda Average Watches. Join me as we explore new releases, share tips on building your collection, and put in some overtime with hands-on reviews of the latest watches. Whether you're a bit of a pro or you're just getting into the hobby, this podcast will keep you entertained with great stories from the people in the industry, casual conversations, and guest hosts who bring their own unique perspectives. Let's get started. Welcome to Overtime the Podcast, proudly sponsored by Watchpoint. How you going, James?
Oh, I'm very well. Very, very well, actually. I'm a little bit cool this morning, or this evening, and as well as the rest of today. It's been a bit cold here in our hometown in Australia, but it's nice to actually be able to wear a jumper on.
I know. I prefer it. Makes it all nice and cozy. It was a cool, I think, 8 degrees Celsius, was it this morning, or even lower?
I think so. I had, I was definitely putting a pair of socks on.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. You would have noticed that I said degrees Celsius. Normally I would have said degrees, but we have a guest today who may not use Celsius. I'm not sure. Fahrenheit, who knows? We'll ask him, actually. That'll be one of the questions. So look, today's guest, it's a brand owner. He's a bit of a one-man band. He's a solo act that's responsible for the design, the prototyping, the engineering, development for each of his watches. And he's based out of Berlin. His brand, I hope I'm saying this correctly. I will ask Florian himself in a minute. It's, I think it's Audoin Watches. And it follows the concept of he's nodding his head, kind of. Concept of reimagining vintage automotive instruments with a modern architectural lens. So welcome to Overtime, Florian. How are you going? Am I even saying your name right? Please correct me.
Yeah, you're saying my name right. Yeah, thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here. As you said, I'm talking to you from Berlin. So today is 1st of May. It's a holiday in most of Europe. Sunny weather, afternoon for me, so it's the perfect time. Thank you for this. And yeah, so the brand name is called Audoin, but don't worry, it's a French, it's my last name. It's a French name. A lot of French people have this name. But here in Germany, where I live, most of the people just make the mistake. I've been called Odin, like the god, like Thor Odin.
Yeah.
Audoin, so I don't mind. But yeah, it's pronounced Audoin. And yeah, as you say, it's a brand that I developed 2 years ago, so to say. But I will tell you more later when you go to the questions. But yeah, as you say, that's most of it.
Fantastic. Well, it's brilliant to have you on the podcast. So look, James, we do this every podcast. Of course, we have to do this podcast as well. So we've got to do our wrist checks. We've got to know what's on our wrist. So as the guest, Florian, what's on your wrist?
Yeah, so on my wrist is the Audoin Stromlinie. Stromlinie is a German word. That's the last watch that I introduced. And as you can see, it has this little car grill opening on the side. That's the particularity of it.
Fantastic. Such a cool wrist check. Definitely the only one in the world right now with that watch on the wrist. So definitely unique. James, what's on your wrist, mate?
I'm wearing 2 watches, and because we're having somebody on the podcast who's wearing something that he's created, and I assume he's very emotionally invested in. The only link I could think of was to wear 2 watches that I've got an emotional investment in: my Montblanc Nicolas Rieussec and my IWC Spitfire. So very different to your watch, Florian, but an emotional attachment, and I'm assuming there's some emotion attached to your design as well, having put so much effort into it. So that was my thin link between why I wore these ones tonight.
That's very good taste.
What about you, Praka?
Well, in my mind, I thought IWC, German watch brand, Berlin-based brand. So I thought that's where the link was.
That popped into my mind too.
Kind of popped out, yeah.
It was more the emotional side I was thinking.
Okay, and Montblanc is Montblanc French? No, is
Montblanc? I think it's Swiss. I'm not sure.
Swiss.
Maybe it's
okay.
It's Swiss.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Okay,
I also thought it's quite an interesting design, and certainly foreign your designs have got an interest factor to them as well. So I love interest factors to watches. So.
Fantastic. Well, what's on my wrist? I didn't really think as hard as you did. That's for sure. I just wore what I wore.
Overthinking watches again.
I just wore what I had on my wrist. So I will try and show you what's on my wrist. It is a small micro brand outside of India. It's called MWC. It is the Nazhi. It has got Tamil numerals all over. Simple 36mm bead blasted case with a BVD coating, and it's got I think an 8,000 citizen movement. As you can see, it's hardly moving. Yes, it's very slow moving, so it's like a tractor movement in there. But hey, it's a bit of fun. $70. Probably the best $70 I've spent, 70 Australian dollars. So, and yes, I didn't really think much about it. I just thought it was something different, so I wore it today. So yeah, that's on my wrist. Very good. All right, enough of the wrist checks. Let's just get into it, shall we? We've got a lot of interesting questions that we would like to ask you, Florian. But before we sort of get into the nitty gritty, so first of all, thank you so much for joining us. It really is an honor when we get a brand owner on the podcast, but not just any brand owner, but someone who's really passionate and who does something different. So yeah, we appreciate it. So before we get into it so fully, if you could please, tell our audience a little bit about yourself. Firstly, who are you and how did you get into watches in the first place?
Thank you. As I say, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for letting me speak out here. So yeah, Audoin is my last name. That's why I took it for my watch brand. I am originally a French guy, mostly living in Strasbourg, which is very close to the German border. You can actually walk there to go shopping. It's a bit cheaper than in France. Through, let's say, doing my studies, not in watchmaking, mostly studied international business, I tend to lean into being in Germany. And I spent actually now the last 12 to 13 years in Germany, where you start getting this, why am I in Berlin from? And the thing is, when I started working, I was really into cars. I was, as a student and later first job taker, cars were my thing. And I had the chance to work at Mercedes-Benz in Germany in their technology center as an intern and later in the purchasing part. And being there, I think that's where my inspiration comes from mostly, and where I got the idea of design. That's where they have their headquarters slash development center for the world. And you have these old, super great looking cars passing by. Like you just go to the office and there you will see a Gullwing 300 SL, like this like $1 million cars, just passing by, like some employee driving it to the next center. And if you go to the parking lot, you will see also other brands that they've been testing. But most of it, you have all these beautiful cars and prototypes. And I was like, wow, getting into the history of what they did, I checked how they started. And I have to say, I prefer older cars than the most recent one. And these older cars, they have these amazing speedometers, colors, leather seats, but also shapes, like where aerodynamics were a thing, but they did not have all the tools to measure it. So they just thought about how to make cars go faster and faster and faster. And mostly, this was like 10 years ago, but this stayed in my mind. It was something where I thought design wise, practical, but beautiful at the same time. That's how they did it in the last 100 years, It's not how I got into watches, but that's why I got like the original design inspiration. How I got into watches was actually many years later. And I've always liked watches. I wore a Yema Automatic, this French brand, for a while, but I was always scared about scratching the case, losing the watch, as I happened to me a few times in my teenage years. Like I forget the watch on the table, come back 10 minutes later, it's not there anymore, obviously. And the thing is, I was always willing to have a special watch. And after being into cars, I've been into motorcycles, especially vintage looking like motorcycles, which is the same kind of vibe as vintage cars. And one day I was just sitting on the couch and thinking, I would like to have a watch that reminds me of like a motorcycle cockpit, not cockpit, but like the that you see when you're actually driving. Because it was raining outside, I couldn't drive my own motorcycle, so I was thinking about it. I started searching online motorcycle watches. Basically, that's how I started. And you get a bunch of photos of watches with a motorcycle on it. Definitely not what you're looking for, And then you get other articles about watches that were inspired by motorcycles. But the prices go from $20 on Amazon. Wait, it's not even a watch, it's just like a plastic thing, to 4, 5, 6K euros on already well-established brands that have had some kind of racing sponsoring events, and they do watches, but it's not really what I'm looking for. It's like a watch which is supposed to be linked to motorcycle. And then I thought, is there at least a watch with two different dials on it? Because usually on a vintage car or vintage motorcycle, I say usually, it's not always, you have the, if I'm not mistaken, the Drehzahlmoment, I have the word in German, like the speedometer shows
Yeah.
you how many RPM, the RPM gauge on the left side,
Yeah.
and then you have the kilometer or miles per hour on the right side. So you need two of them, right? And I thought, is there any watch doing this? I found a few with two dials, but they were vertical or they were very, very small and not exactly what I wanted. And I thought, hey, you know what? Let's just make it. I can't, I have a product idea. I like watches now. Over time, it developed into my mind. And I can't find what I'm looking for, at least on Google Images, So the good thing is I didn't find something similar to what I did later. Good thing, if I had, I would have just bought it and never been even sitting here. But what I came up with, and I don't know if I should show it now or not, but that was the first prototype. I did a watch like this one with two. Okay, it's not on time. It's just a prototype, right? But I did a watch like this.
A dual time? Is that what it's called?
Dual time. Yeah, you have two distinctive. As you can see, the bolts, the screws are off. But a watch with this kind of very organic design. But the particularity is you have two watches into one, and one you can select New York time. The other one you can select, I don't know, Tokyo time. And I started having this idea, did sketches, but that's the product, the first one I came up with. So watch with two dials like this. And the thing is, I did this because I thought it did not exist. I was completely wrong. If you now look for dual time watches on Instagram or anywhere else, you might find very similar watches. But you won't find this one because I did it without knowing what others did, So it came straight out of my mind. And all the sketches that I did by hand and then on the computer were done without anything to copy, It was like a pure blank page. I'm trying to think how would it work to make two watches into one. But I can tell you more later. Maybe it's If not, I'm talking for 5 hours and going to sleep. But yeah, that's how it started, more or less.
That's fantastic, and I like your last point, and I want to stress that as well. It's great to see a watch that's been designed by someone who hasn't really seen other watches for inspiration. Like a lot of times you hear, correct me if I'm wrong, James, a lot of brand owners speak about, I designed this based on the Explorer, or based on the, there's always a particular watch reference that they're looking at to try and based on. And that's not always the case, but yeah, it's interesting that you just like, I just want dual time, look like motorcycle, and let me just make it. That's cool. I like that.
I think I really like that idea because it does. Yeah, most people are taking inspiration from something, or even the elements, or saying, "Oh, well, I want to take this, I want to take that," and even other people who are trying to make something original still are quite influenced by their specific likes of their own watches to start fresh. And then even not, once you've done that initial search, to then go and just go, you know what, I'm just going to give it a go. I like that, because if you do dive and dive and dive, you're always going to find something, and it's nice and it's refreshing. It's actually what sort of stood out to me most when I first saw your recent sort of images start to pop up online. Is just, it was so refreshing and interesting, and that's what got me excited about it, and that's why I had to send that image across to Praka.
And here we are today.
And now here we are.
And just sort of before I sort of close that, before we go to the next question, is it's really hard to do nowadays, with Instagram and watch media. It's very hard to sort of put the blinkers on and try and focus on what you want, and without getting swayed by something else. You may not even realize it, but subconsciously you might start pulling elements from different watches. Yeah.
I can tell you that I didn't have an Instagram when I started doing this watch. So it was even easier. I had just went over some Facebook groups, and the only Facebook group that I joined was a group called Horlogerie et Discussion, which is a French group for actual watchmakers, where they ask each other questions about what should be the size of this crystal based on that case opening, I don't know, gasket do you use. So it was really the group where I just thought, They just ask these guys questions if I'm blocked somewhere in the development process. But I was not overwhelmed with watch designs and, like amazing pictures of other brands. I was not looking at that. I didn't have time for it. I was just concentrating on finishing this product. So it's a good thing I did not get inspired by something else, So
And the second thing that really grabbed me about your designs is the story behind it. Not just your designs, because you're taking an approach to creating a watch differently to a lot of people that I've spoken to before that have watch brands. And I'm finding people are approaching it in different ways. But for somebody to not only conceptualize the design, but then actually model it yourself and then produce it yourself and assemble it yourself. Can you tell me why you decided to approach it this way rather than create a design and sort of outsource things? What was the idea behind being so heavily involved in all the aspects of it?
Yeah, it's an interesting question you're asking, because if I would have started today after all of that I know, I would probably never start. It's like when you have a project and you're climbing a mountain but you don't see the top. It's better you don't know where the top is, because if I knew, I would just have turned back and just stayed peacefully at home. Why I did everything alone? Maybe it was just being naive on, I can make it alone, because I had no clue. I was just no clue. I was just getting into something really, really big. But at the beginning, I always thought, hey, there's a product to be made. Let's make it. But first of all, I need to see if I can at least make the product before, I don't know, trying to make a production out of it. And I thought, let's not try to look for other watchmakers or investors or Kickstarter campaigns, anything. Because I thought, first of all, the product does not exist. People might not understand it. It's best if I show them the product finished, or at least to 95% finished, and then we can talk about it. And I really focus on doing first product, then let's try to find a way to produce it. The way I started was I started actually learning how to do 3D design, 3D renderings. I didn't know, so I just went on YouTube. Started like with some software. I forgot the name, like a free of use software online. I did my sketches there. Took me a while to even get into understanding how to make a shape and make it in 3D and then exporting the file. I was lucky to have found in Berlin a company that does 3D printings, and only 3D printing. So they have on the office only with huge 3D printers. And so I went there thinking, let's make first like a model so I could see, does it even make sense on the wrist or not? And the guy was nice enough to understand I was into something really inspirational and alone. And he just told me, you're using the wrong software, start using another one, using the wrong file. And that's not how you do it. Come sit with me. And for like 1 or 2 hours, he showed me how to use it. And he told me, go check this video, like just go and check how to make a circle, how to expand it, how to cut from the software. Just look at YouTube videos. Everything is on YouTube, which I did. And I came back 2-3 weeks later to him with a lot of improvements on my file. And he was like, oh, wow, actually, you did it. Usually when I tell people, come back with a decent 3D model, they never come back. And I came back because I was really into I want to make this happen, and still had a lot of things to learn. But thanks to this, I learned to do 3D first. I did a lot of 3D printings with that company that was super nice. They just told me look, we spend 2 hours with you, just give us $20. That's fine. We like what you're doing. I was okay, good, because I don't have that much money to start with. And as this I was doing while having 2 kids and a full-time job. So it was basically like in the evening, just trying to do it on my laptop. And by doing for months 3D design trainings alone in my room and trying to make it in 3D printing, I realized that at some point the 3D printers cannot make shapes that will be by the 0.01 millimeter precision. So that means you can test a shape, but you cannot test putting a gasket, seal, crown. It's not going to fit all together. You might have some microns, too much material here or not enough. So I thought, okay, I need to make this in steel. And that's where I started looking for companies that would, based on a 3D file, carve it into steel and just send it to me. And that's where I would say most of my budget went, doing prototypes of cases that were not correct, where the gasket would not fit or the crystal or the movement would not even fit inside, But I learned everything by just making a case, paying a few €100 for a case prototype, waiting 6 weeks to get it shipped at home, see that it does not fit. So obviously I'm frustrated. But then I think,
Oh, no.
okay, we're talking about like a bit more space here, a bit less there, and the shape is too big. Let's try to reduce it. And this is what I did for like a year and a half, like just trying to modelize my 3D file, ordering a new case done in stainless steel, getting it shipped in Berlin, testing. And then at the end, I was ready to make this one, which I did in 10 units. So I only have the almost finished prototype now, but I did 10 units and I thought people might like it. In any case, it's different enough so people would enjoy having this at home. And I sold the 10 units while ordering enough materials for making 10 watches. And that's why I thought, okay, so I'm capable of doing it. I did a dual time watch. It's not profitable. Let's not lie here, because I barely got back my cost of development and materials by selling 10 units, but I still did. And all of this while learning how to assemble a watch, dismantle a watch, put the hands on the watch, making it fit, everything. The thing about waiting 6 weeks to get a case so I can test, in the meantime, I forgot to mention, I was on eBay, I was on different websites and marketplaces buying vintage watches, sometimes broken, sometimes not, and just buying them cheap, trying to repair something and selling them again. So I had my, let's say, training by testing it on real brands, real watches, and I was able to resell them. So I thought, okay, people are ready to pay some money, even if the watch is not perfect. It's a vintage one. I changed the crystal, I changed whatever, something on it, and I could finance a bit my development cost by just making some profit from buying cheap, selling a bit more expensive after repairs.
And how many cases did you go through to get the dimensions right?
I brought the old case that I have, but I think I made 5 prototypes. So it's not a lot. I heard from friends who are like engineer and developing products, 5 prototypes is not a lot, especially when you have to wait 6 weeks in between, But it was enough to at least get to something working. And each prototype became an evolution of the previous one. So it was doing the right dimensions, but then I thought, hey, actually, they managed in CNC to carve a curve like this. So if they manage to curve like that, I can make another curve here. And I was just thinking in my head how to make it in a better shape, considering that I know what are the limitations and capacities of the CNC machinery. So I can show you, for example, the very first prototype that I did was like that. And you can see it's very heavy. It's a huge piece of metal. You could, if you throw it at someone, you knock them out. It's a huge piece of metal, and I don't know if you can see it on the hand, but it's a bit big.
Yeah.
It's still okay, but it touches your ankle. And if I can show you like the latest one that I did, which is this one, so the dual time. This is, let's say, 2 years later. I just did it for fun again with some openings on the side, and it's a better built watch. Also, I need to set the time, but just to show you the difference, it's not exactly the same shape. You can see it. So, this one is
a bit rounder,
way bigger behind. It's difficult to show.
I can imagine with the designs like that, even just the smallest measurements could make such a huge difference.
You can see the height difference. One is like twice the size of the other, And this is what I got by doing prototypes and prototypes. And I went from this one, so that was the first one. You can see I have some branded dial on one side. The other one, I had it produced, and I made this one, which is a bit better. It's like that, a bit better, and later that other one that I showed you at the beginning. So I just performed a better, let's say, kiss shape by understanding what can the CNC machine do. And also by understanding you have way too much space between the movement and the back case. I could save another 0.5 millimeters, but there's enough space for it. And that's how I did it for a year and a half, I would say, testing out stuff.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. It's actually, it's amazing when I speak to people that are doing things like you and from different formats and different ways, just how many of them start from very low knowledge and are doing a little bit like you're doing. And it's certainly not my perception when I sort of get into watches myself. I always thought people are coming in with huge amounts of industry knowledge, But it's actually what's more interesting, what's more fun, and why I think we're getting such cool designs is because it's a little bit more like your story than what my previous perceptions were.
I want to ask you a little bit about CNC machining. So I had a bit of a laugh. I recalled my time in university doing CNC programming, and it wasn't easy. Trying to get a program for something relatively simple, it was hard enough for that. So, like, was it much of a headache to try and, I guess, did you give like a 3D, file, or, was it hard enough to program these tool paths to get, like you mentioned, curves and the nice curves, let's keep moving to the right with curves and talk about the new model that you've got on your wrist, which is the please repeat it
Stromlinie.
for me. Stromlinie. So the Stromlinie has definitely a lot more curves than the original watch.
Yeah, this one.
Was that hard? Yes, exactly. Was that harder to program or
Well,
work?
to be honest, I did not program the machine. I did the 3D file and I sent the file to outsource it because I don't have machinery at home. I would love to. I just imagine if I had these machines at home, I could, instead of doing 5 prototypes, I could do so many and just correct things little by little. But I didn't have that chance. My wife would never allow having such a machine at home. But on the other hand, I send the files, and usually at the workshop having CNC machines, because I tried some in Germany at first, they would send me back the file saying, yeah, this we can do. Sorry, it's impossible. Like you need to change the way the tools will access the curves, because you have to imagine it's like a block or cube of metal, and they can only come from the sides or from the top. They cannot, it's different, I think, than molding, where they would do a mold shape and then they pour
Yeah.
metal into it, and you can have different shapes. But the CNC is more precise, except that you have this limitation of it's something in the middle and needles come from the side and will carve into it. So I had to reshape my watch, especially the lugs were a big issue because they would tell me, yeah, the way you did the lugs, it's not possible with CNC. Or like the holes to put the bracelet,
Spring bars.
Yeah, the spring bars. Sometimes they would tell me it's the way you did your lugs, it's impossible to even achieve putting a hole there. Like you need to remove some material here and there. The good thing is, since I was doing the 3D myself, I could within the next day send them back the file and say, yeah, sorry about this. Here's a corrected version. I changed the shape of the watch so it can be manufactured. And I didn't have to wait weeks for, that would have been different if I had to use someone else's design and tell them, yeah, please do it again. I will pay you again. I need 6 weeks. I don't know. So I was capable of changing my file according to the specifications of the CNC machinery. And even though I did not do it myself, like the programming, I understand exactly now what the machine can do or not. After trying out so many things, also carving some text in the case, like I tried to make like the logo here and there, and they would tell me, no, that's way too small here, or I don't know, you need 0.05 millimeters at least, so we can make a half circle here behind. And that's where I'm like, wow, it's actually nice, because from my home in Berlin, I could discuss with companies, and we would discuss technical matters and agree on them so they could produce it. I didn't have to stand in front of them. This I did with the 3D printing part, but the 3D was not precise enough to get into this level of machinery. Yeah, actually, it's the curves were the most problematic one. Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. No, I did recall. Yeah, actually, everything was problematic for me when I was trying to do it. But it is awesome to see that like you're physically getting in there and editing the designs and doing all that, because there are many different approaches to I guess making your own watch and your own watch design. Like some people start with a paper sketch and they send it to a designer and then they let them do everything, and then if they need to change something, they go back to the designer and let them do everything. But it is cool that you have that not only for creative control, but also the ability to make that link between design and manufacturing and making it work both ways. So I like that. Awesome.
Yeah, let's say I had the flexibility of changing the design pretty quickly. And that's maybe one of the reasons why I did everything alone, which might be not the best approach to start building a product, no matter if it's a sunglasses or something else complex as a watch case. But doing it alone allowed me to learn from mistakes and just correct them and learn how to not reproduce that mistake later and save time, especially. Yeah, save time.
Mm-hmm.
I could also mention that the CNC part was complicated, but learning to do 3D was, for me, the biggest challenge. Because imagine I learned to do 3D by watching YouTube videos and having just like one nice guy like sitting 1 or 2 hours with me, just telling me like, hey, did you know that you can just like make a shape and make a mirror of the shape? So you don't have to do all the edges. You can just do like half of the watch case and then you copy paste the other half and then you can change stuff, but you don't have to calculate everything all the time, which I was doing at the beginning, So I was designing the entire watch and making calculations. Okay, here I need this and that. But I learned some basic moves in 3D programming that if I had known them before earlier, I would have saved months of trying to change something. Or let's say I spent hours trying to correct a curve on my file because I didn't know that I could just make I don't know, like let's say a plan. I don't know what's the name of it but a plan and just like cut through it. I didn't know I could cut through it. So I was trying to reshape it from the start over and over and over. And my files were so heavy that they would lag on the computer. And sometimes I was just like trying to change something and it's lagging. And I know that if I close the computer, it's just going to delete everything that I did this evening. So I had to just go away, come back 1 hour later and it stopped bugging and now I can start working again. That was the biggest challenge, I would say. Patience. Yeah, a lot of patience.
Wow.
And the CNC companies that you use, I'm assuming they do lots of different projects. Have they done watches before? Was this something new for them? Or
I think so. I changed companies a few times, mostly because they attract you with a very interesting rate. And then when they see they locked you in because you're doing a second prototype and third, they just like double the price, saying, "Oh wait, by the way, we need to raise the price." So I'm like, "Okay, I understand." And at some point, I'm also a businessman in my other job, So I'm like, "Guys, come on." I know now you try to lock me in. I'm just going to change supplier. So I changed suppliers a few times, but yeah, I mean it was challenging, but on the other hand, easy enough to. I mean, you have so many suppliers out there. You can just discuss to different companies. I don't know if I replied to your question though. I think I missed the point. Can you tell me what
I was just wondering if the one that you ended up doing most of the watches with it, sort of
they did watches.
Product.
Yeah.
Had they done watches before?
Yeah, the second company I used, they did watches, and they were pushing me for directly going into 100 units, 200 units, saying, "Yeah, your design is fine, just do it." No, it's not fine. I'm still testing. I know if it's fine or not. And the last one I used, mostly the last one was the one I used to make like the first 10 units, not the 15. I think it's the first time they ever did watch cases. So it's all on me. If I make a mistake with my 3D, the mistake will be produced. And they can only advise me on what the machine can do, or if maybe something is too thin, it might break by screwing the back case and that kind of stuff. So they could tell me, here, your back case where the screws are 0.015, it's too thin. We can produce it, but you will break it. Do at least 0.3. And then I did, but I think they never did watches before. It's also a challenge for them to make a piece where it's an industrial parts maker, but here they can just like make it too raw, Like they have to pay really attention to details. And I had a few issues with some cases that are not exactly as identical as another one, because maybe they went quicker on that one, or they forgot to change the thread to cut through metal. They use the same one as another kind of part, and then it's a bit too big. So I had these challenges as well from not using a watchmaker to produce my cases.
Yeah, I mean, tolerances matter massively. You could have someone who's, like you say, producing in parts for the industry that don't really understand the tolerances of watchmaking, that might not quite get it. So that is challenging. That is challenging, and I'm happy that you managed to produce not only your first model, but also your second, the cases for your second model. If you're into micro brands, indies, or vintage watches, you need to check out Watchpoint. Located in the heart of Melbourne, Watchpoint is more than a storefront. It's a true hub for the community. Get hands-on with brands like HZ, Formex, Second Hour, Lima, Vario, RZE, and Baozell. Plus, through their partnership with Time Only, you can now explore German indies from Zinn, Hanhart, Damasco, and Müller in person. Not in Melbourne? No worries. Head to watchpoint.com.au to discover new releases, stay informed with editorials, and find your next buying guide. So stop by Shop 202, Level 2, 220 Collins Street in the Manchester Unity Building to find your next timepiece. So speaking of the second model, let's talk about it. The Stromlinie. So, look, it's bold, right? It's bold. It's original. It's very reminiscent of. I think when I first saw it, there was an James sent the ad, and it had like a train behind it. It was like it looked like a vintage ad, a train ad.
Looking an art noir type sort of look.
That's it. But also kind of looked modern. I don't know how to say it, like a steampunk type look to it. So let us know, tell me, or tell us, how did you get to that design and how you got making these?
Yeah, so the good thing about doing the dual time was that I learned how to make a watch, and I thought, okay, now let's make a normal watch, with only one dial, and my goal was to make a shape that has never been seen before. I didn't want to make the same as everyone else, because this was already after spending some time on Instagram, and so I had this influence by other brands doing the Stromlinie, but I still wanted to make something different. I just checked again, like these old cars. That's why I come back to saying like these vintage cars from German brands, where I looked at the shape of the cars, and especially the shapes in the 1930, 50, early 60, where they also had some manufacturing limitations, like no computers to create a car, but they still managed just by sketching and just walking away to make amazing designs. And so I looked at that and I thought, how could I turn this car into a watch? Like basically, but without making it ugly, but also not just following the trend of other brands out there. And I looked at the car grill and I thought, actually, now that I know from my dual time that they can carve pretty well holes in a case that can go 1 millimeter deep with a very specific shape, I could actually maybe on the side do some car grills. So I did a few tests in 3D, and this time it went a lot faster because I knew how to do 3D. I knew what were the tolerances, and I just created it pretty quickly on my computer, thinking, let's make some holes on the side first, like actual circles, on the side. And then I looked at the cars again, and I saw, actually, it's not like circles; it's more like vertical shapes with a bit round, but also very square on the edges. And that's how I came up with. Actually, if I have some older case here, I brought some older cases that I didn't use, but I did the first one that I made in CNC was this one. So you can see the very, very small case openings. Here it's vertical. It's very heavy. I mean, you can see from maybe the other side. This is the first case that I did. And the holes are super small compared to another one that I did later, which is this one. Let me just put one over the other one. Now you can see it. I don't know if you see the difference in size of the holes. It's literally like double or triple the size. So this is the first one. That's maybe the third prototype that I did. Actually put them in the same side. So now you can see it. Yeah. And this is the newer one. That's the older one. You can also see that, or maybe you don't, but the newer one is a bit thinner than the bottom one. It's a lot thinner. And so I just thought, let's make it. So I did that first one. I thought it's a very heavy case. I think it was like 13.5 millimeter thick, while the current watch, this one is below 10 millimeters thick. So I managed to get another like 3 millimeters by using the empty space that I did on my design. But the idea was really, let's make a car into a watch. Let's make the car grills because no one ever did it before. Or at least I haven't found any other brand doing it so far, at least not like this. And I also want the watch to be in 42 millimeters wide, simply because I like bigger watches, even though I have a chicken wrist, So I thought, let's make it into 42 millimeters, but I don't want the dial to be at the edges of the case. I want the dial to be really, uh, actually, the case to be heavy, even though it's 42 millimeters and 10 millimeters high. So let me show it again here. But you can see the dial is pretty small compared to the rest of the case. I could have actually used the whole top part and make a dial which is bigger, but I went with this one because I thought, I want a small dial in a big case, which is still wearable. So that's how you see now the case from the side. Let me show you back the very first one.
I think just for the listeners' benefit, Florian's just showing us the different prototypes that he's made for the Stromlinie, and it's very obvious the iterations that have gone on from the first to now, and what he's got as a production model. It's crazy how much thinner you've gotten the whole case. And I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the smaller dial on the case, it almost kind of looks a bit like a speedometer type.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Same inspiration as. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's still the inspiration of a speedometer, and that's also why I did it flat. So here it's a steel dial printed with the design printed actually in Berlin by a company not so far from my home. They printed it, but I sent them the file of the dial, and I told them the markers and the logo and the automatic written here, I want them to be transparent. So I want the dial metal to be this color that you see for the logo and everything. So it's not printed as such. It's actually just one color printed on a dial, which is a metallic steel dial. So it reflects light in some ways and others, but it's actually, it's like metal with the paint on it. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe my computer is a bit blurry, but it's flat, completely flat.
I think I understand, James. So for the benefit of the listeners,
the base dial up through the relief of the printing. It definitely suits the design. It has that little sort of that mechanical, industrial sort of there. That element absolutely draws the case and the dial together, which is fantastic. It's nice when designs have links as part
cohesive.
Cohesive. I like to say the word cohesive.
Well, just before I want to talk about the air intakes. Mm-hmm. The air intakes.
Show them again.
Is that what we're calling it? The air intakes? The car
intakes,
grill?
Yeah.
The grill.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Obviously, the choice is very, the aesthetics, because you said that's what I had inspiration. That's what I want to put in my case. Does it help with the ergonomics of the watch? Do you feel like
it does? The watch goes faster. It actually has.
You should page it.
Go faster than your neighbor with the. No, it does reduce the weight of the case, because the case is. If I show you again, it's a huge piece of metal. So that's the back case. It's plain metal. And then you have the holes for the screws. You have the different placements in the inside. But it's not super heavy. But I just thought, hey, some people might think it's a big piece of metal to have on your wrist, might be a bit uncomfortable. So that's why I went from these very small openings on the first case that were also on the top and not on the, not aligned with the rest. I don't know why. And I thought I can make them bigger to reduce some weight and make the watch a bit more wearable. So I think now the watch, if I'm checking my files, top and bottom case, just the cases alone should be below 80 milligrams. Sorry, 80 grams.
80 grams. Yeah. Okay.
So it's my goal was to not make too heavy. Also makes it a bit more, how to say, not flat. Without it, you would have the feeling the watch is very high, and with openings in it, it's like if you face a building, you have windows or you don't. A building with windows will look a bit nicer and more fresh and can attract more light inside rather than just a plain wall. So yeah, but it does reduce weight a lot. I think I'm getting something like 15 grams, maybe 20 grams out of this,
when you mill the car grills out or the air intakes. Oh, that's really cool. I like it. It was kind of like a joke question, but not. But I'm glad that it was like, it actually it does help it. So it's cool. I want to, before we move on to the next question, let's talk about the watch a little bit more about how you said 42 mil, but it's still pretty compact, right? I mean, it's only, is it 45 mil lug to lug on this?
It's 45. Yeah, 45.
Okay, yeah. So
it looks substantial when you look at the design, but when then you look at the dimensions that you've got listed, it certainly doesn't then look like it will then translate to a big watch on your wrist. It just has that sort of visual presence, but then would be quite wearable.
One of the issues I had was that I only modeled the watch with my own wrist. I mean, I have some friends that tried it with bigger wrists, but most of the photos I did were with my own wrist. So the watch looks a bit huge. I had lots of people, when I posted it, just like, hey, here's the prototype of my next watch. They were saying it's massive. It's like, how can you even wear that? And then I'm saying, it's actually just 42 and 10 millimeters high, And some comments were like, yeah, I can't believe it. It has to be way more than that. And I think it's because my wrist is, again, small and the dial is small. If I had a normal like 30, 31 millimeters dial, it wouldn't look that bulky. But the dial is actually 27.5 millimeters only.
So is that your wrist on the website, is it? Showing off
the watch? Yeah. I know I need to make better photos.
You do have a small wrist then.
If you look at my Instagram, the latest pictures are from the first customer. So now, since last week, I already have some customers that received the watch, one of which is a very good photographer based in the Netherlands. He did some photos with a red-orange wristband, and there it might look a bit better on his wrist than on mine. But yeah, being my own model is maybe not the best idea either. I mean, I should have. And sometimes I was like, walking in the street and see some, I'd say, guys. I mean, also women could wear the watch. It's not as big as you think, but I saw some people. I was like, oh, they actually have like a nice wrist. I should ask them to just make some photos with my watch. But then I thought it's going to be weird. They will be like, what the hell do you want? It's just like, go away from this. I restrained from asking that. Yeah.
I'm gonna put a call out there. I have no idea if I have any listeners in Berlin. I think maybe there's a couple in Germany. But if we have a listener in Berlin who would like to reach out to Florian, who has slightly bigger wrists than he does, go ahead, reach out. I'll put all his details in the show notes so you can get that wrist shot, the slightly bigger wrist shot, and chuck it on.
The wrist model.
Wrist model. Fantastic. Let's, where are we now? Obviously, we talked about the watches. We talked about the limited numbers of your watches as well, right? So you got 15 pieces in this line?
Yeah, 15 cases actually. I have 3 different dials. So I have this one which is actually green. I don't know if you can see it, but it's green. It's like an olive green, very dark green, I would say.
Nice.
I have the same in black and another one that I need to go check, but I have also a blue one without the date, which this time is a printed one, like the full dial is printed. And I'm just saying this because it's only 15 cases and 3 different dials. So actually, as unique watches for the wearers, maybe there's only 5 or 6 watches with this configuration out there. The reason for 15 is simply because I know how much time it takes me to assemble a watch at home. And again, I still have that full-time job. I have kids. This has priority over my watch business and passion. I can only do it on the weekends or in the evening when I get some time on my own. And it's so much time investment that I thought 15 is already a big number because I have to build every single watch. I'm not a trained watchmaker originally, so I had also to train myself how to assemble and get the right tools. And obviously, it can take me 1 or 2 hours to assemble one watch, even though the movement is already built in. But I mean, it's a Miyota 90 15 caliber. But the thing is, it's taking me so much time and efforts that I'm not at this point motivated to do any more than 15 units. It's basically it's a time and motivational factor, which made me rethink. Because originally, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was planning to do like 15 and then order another 20 cases and just see if people would like to have the watch. And then I would just have to order more parts. But I'm ordering from 15 different suppliers. I mean, I have one supplier for the cases, but I have another one for the crystals, another one for the crowns, for the movement, for the gaskets, straps, and the hands and everything. And some I have like 2 or 3 different ones based on which hand or strap this is. So 15 is a lot. It takes a lot of time to get all the parts shipped at home. I had a misadventure by the first 15 cases being sent and the parcel, I'm not going to name the company, but the parcel got lost, stolen, because it was supposed to be delivered at my place. And I think the mistake was to put Audoin Watches on the delivery label. And the guy feeling, that's like a 2-kilo parcel, There must be 1 or 2 watches. They check online, they see the price, and they thought, wow, I'm going to make money from this. But actually, it was just my cases, the cases that no one else can use if you don't have the custom parts that I made, So it's useless to have the case. Like you don't go anywhere with this. So the parcel got lost. Thankfully, my supplier understood this and produced it again and shipped it again. But after this misadventure, I thought, wow, there are so many risks involved by making the watch myself. There are so many delays that can arise from I'm missing one gasket, for example. I need to wait 1 or 2 weeks. I ordered, 15 movements, but only 13 arrived in time. All of this now made me think 15 is enough. So if I do a watch again in the future, and I will, because I have so many ideas, I think this time I will outsource the manufacturing process, check for suppliers in Germany, in Europe at first, see how many watches do I need to make to be able to sell them and generate some profit, but I won't be the one making the watches at home. Just focus on the design, make a nice product, but be more realistic in what I can achieve alone.
That does make a lot of sense, and I know how time-consuming it is to be hands-on with watches, even for very simple things. And I know I've spent hours just trying to take a link out of a bracelet, so I can only imagine trying to order things in and then having to put it together, and then have mishaps if something doesn't go quite right, and then having to backtrack and go through the process. So it does make a lot of sense, especially when you are moving and fixing it and inserting it.
Definitely. You sort of touched on it, which is the next designs. What is next? What's coming up? You said you have plenty. Obviously, not talking about the execution of it, because you might change the model a little bit of how you execute. But let's talk about your next inspirations or your next styles that you would like to discuss and let the people know.
Yeah, I actually I have made 3 different designs, and I have them here for you guys. So I would advise the listeners to check the podcast in video, at least now, so you can see it.
I have to clip it now.
Yeah. So yeah, following the same process, at least for the prototyping part, I did 3 other case designs, because for me, a new design is a new case. It's not just changing the die or something. And I'm still thinking about which one should I try to outsource the production from. I can show you the first one. So that would be, it's only the case, right? First one would be something like this, which is a very normal case, I would say, right? It looks like a lot of other watches. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it well, but it has these normal like watch cases. It looks a bit like a tank.
It reminds me of a maritime porthole a little bit. That's what stood out to me.
But it follows the same principles from case making as the other ones. I mean, I have the same dimensions inside. I have the same gasket. I have the same everything that I already validated from the development side, and I just changed the case around it. So this is the first one that I'm thinking of doing, but it's maybe too not original enough. Still have my logo carved on the side in CNC carved, and it's the same back case. It's this back case can actually be removed and go on the Stromlinie. It's exactly the same. So I'm trying to make some
interchangeability
here. Yeah, exactly. So this was the first one. I would say more like vintage diver style watch. Another one that is also vintage, obviously, but more like in a car shape is this one, which if you can see, it always has also the same hour markers on the top. Both have the logo on the side. can see it.
That side
Ooh,
profile's
a lot.
really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is
I did
very,
it on
very
the computer and I was like, oh, it looks nice. Maybe it's going to cut. It's like you put your finger, but actually it's fine. Like you don't cut yourself by touching the watch, but it's a bit shaped like a Lancia Strada. I'm not sure. I need to check. Or it's more like a car from the 70s this time, not from the 1950s. But
The Lancia Stratos.
yeah, Strata. Sorry, yeah. It's not based on it, but the shape is also a bit more like 70s shape. And again, it's same. I mean, I can just go ahead and
that's cool.
I can put the back case and just screw it. But yeah, the side is quite fun. You can see it's like that.
Have a look at the link, James, that I've just put in. Can you see in the chat window? I've just put in a link to the Lancia Stratos, so you can see it side by side. You can see, yeah, it's not like you say, it's not like a complete inspiration, but it has elements of it. So
it's more like
cool.
the engineering design inspiration, like the way they made the watch and the car. Sorry, and the third one that I have is a smaller version of this one, which would be, instead of being 32 millimeters, I think it's 42. It should be 38, and it's this one again, like back to the 1950s, maybe actually 1920s or 30s. But again, it's the same kind of design, except that I removed the air intakes. I might put them back on. I just wanted to try how is it when the watch is a bit thinner. So it's it's like this.
So the dial fills up more of it, but the dial is the same size as the larger version?
Exactly the same. If you give me 20 seconds, I can go fetch a dial and show it to you with a dial. Yeah? That's fine.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
why
okay.
not?
Let me just go fetch some dials there.
And through the magic of editing, we will remove this blank space.
I'm back.
Good.
So I can actually show you the other dial that I have without date, and this is more like blue.
That's the blue one?
That is nice.
But this one has
cool. I like that.
The markers are printed, so it's like two colors, while the other ones are only one. And the good thing is I can just put the dial on the watch, and there you would have the watch looking like this.
That's cool. Here's what you prepared earlier. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, this gives you an idea, but compared to this one, it's a bit, it's a lot smaller. Let me just, you can see it's smaller, right?
Yeah.
Or actually, if I put it on top of the other one.
It's smaller, but it still has that element of that presence, that you're trying to get from your design. You still got it. It's not
has
just
the same inspiration, and it's basically the same watch, just a bit thinner and without the air intakes. Yeah, I would say. But I
vote for the
go back to air
personally.
intakes. I might go back to them. I read the comments of people after seeing my watch, which were to almost 98% very positive. I mean, also watch enthusiasts are happy to see something that differs from what they usually see every day. But I had some comments asking like, hey, why do you put these air intakes? I would love to see the watch without it. So I just thought, okay, let's make it, see how it looks like. And it looks decent, but it's maybe too normal. I don't know. But there you have it. It's the same kind of watch.
There's one thing that I've realized over the couple of years that I've been doing this and being in the enthusiast circles is sometimes it's not good to listen to every feedback that you get about your watch, especially if you are in your, this is the reason why I'm doing this. Might be best to just stick with your guns. Because you're not going to please everyone, but as long as you're happy with it, and in general, like you say, 98%, that's the way to go.
I had more, let's say, negative comments on the dual time. I mean, and I'm glad I only revealed my design once I was on the third prototypes, like something finished, because I knew people would not always like it. And I would say there, the positive comments were more to 90%. So it's like you have 100 comments, you still have some 10 people telling you the watch is ugly and useless, and why do you even try? But I'm like, it's fine, 9 to 10, it's actually okay, and the Stromlinie is getting 98 to 200. But yeah, and this same dial, if I put it on the other one, there to give you a better idea of the watches. So again, big case, this is like 40 millimeters, I think. But you see the design elements are a bit the same. I might do this one then. I don't know. I like actually what I see in the watchmaking project that I have. The most fun comes from designing the watch, not from assembling the watch. Assembling is a pain. I think some people love it. I don't. I'm just doing it because it has to be done at some point. But designing the watch, especially on the computer, feels like playing a video game to me. Like you can turn the file around and create something, and it's very nice to see it happening afterwards.
Well, it's so nice to create something and then have a product at the end of it. It is very satisfying. And if that satisfying feeling can be related to a passion that you love, I completely understand why you've enjoyed certainly the design elements of it.
Yeah, exactly. And
Awesome.
I was not seeking profitability. I was rather seeking what you said, having a finished product in my hand. One of my inspirations was also, I need to find back the video, but I watched a documentary back in the days, like some French guy in his yard, like in his garden, he built by hand a Drakkar ship from the Vikings. Like he did an actual ship, but it cannot go on water. It just and like people were like, "Oh, it's amazing because he really did it to the precision of the way Vikings would build a ship." And in the interview, I just remember he was saying, "I don't care what people say or that it's not good for sailing. I wanted to do it. I just did it. It's my product. I'm so happy I did it." And I thought, hey, if this guy built a ship in his garden, I can make a watch. It takes less space. Yeah, and I don't even have a
Y-
garden because I'm living in Berlin. So yeah, wouldn't work.
That's inspirational. That's a clippable moment right there.
It's a clippable one.
Fantastic. Well, look, obviously we'll put all the links in the show notes, where we can find Florian, where we can find Audoin Watches. Also, please let the listeners know, can we still order the Stromlinie?
As of today, yes, I did mostly like pre-sales, but there are still 6 watches that are not built yet and just waiting on people to order them. So I have a lot of people that got into asking me, tell me when you have the watch ready. I haven't told them yet. I'm just building one by one and orders come in and I prioritize the orders that come in. So if anybody wants one, just
And
check the website, reach out to me, write to me. Happy to discuss.
if they want a particular dial color, is what sort of dial
Yeah,
colors?
I have black, this olive green, the blue one without the date. And I have also so many hands from like very good quality hands that I ordered for prototype, reasons like testing out. And now I'm like, might just use these hands for, I don't know, maybe the last 3 units or something like that. So I'm very flexible on what comes into which dial, which hands, and which strap actually.
That's cool. So the customer can do a bit of customization
A bit,
if they would like. A bit.
exactly.
Cool. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Florian, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for answering all the questions that we have written up and giving us, a flavor of your journey so far in watchmaking, or watch design and watchmaking. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us and thank you for sharing. I think it's probably one of the most unique, what do you call it, pathways to watchmaking that I've seen. So yeah, certainly for me. I'm not sure, James, if that rings true to you as well.
it's actually fantastic to hear how you've done that, and I think it opens the doors for people if it's the level of complexity to get past is maybe hard, but it's possible, and if you want to even make one watch for yourself, even if it's financially not really particularly viable, it's possible. There is technology out there. There is ways to learn stuff, and YouTube is an amazing thing to learn.
Yeah, for sure. And you just need Florian's, attitude. What does he call it? The I can build a Viking ship too attitude. That's the way to do it.
And just not know how hard it's going to be. Just build that Viking ship.
Just build it.
That's the most
Just build it.
important. If you don't know, you have to try out, and it's best not to know where you have to go sometimes. Thanks a lot for
100%.
having me. It was really a pleasure and honor to be on this podcast, and yeah, I mean, really nice time with you guys. Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. No, you're welcome. Look, not going to let you run off quite yet. We still have this little bit in the podcast, which we'll call a something interesting section. Now, I think I explained to you beforehand what we do. So it can be watch related, not watch related, anything, TV shows, whatever you like. So have you got something that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, you got me at these like TV shows or maybe old movies. I could tell where I see also my design inspiration coming to in the future, but I've always been a big fan of the science fiction movies, but more like from the 80s, 90s. And often when people ask me, what's your favorite movie of all time? I say The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis. I don't know why, but it's an amazing movie.
Nice.
It
I
really
would say,
is.
okay, maybe today I would say Dune from Denis Villeneuve because they're just amazing. But what really inspired me is this old science fiction style where they make this, I don't know, like a futuristic city, flying cars. But yeah, Dune from Frank Herbert. Yeah, that's love them too. Read them when I was 16, 17. So happy the movies are coming out. I mean, but the thing is, I really like science fiction. And if you take the science fiction from before computers, they had to be very original in their ideas on how to make the viewers of the movie think they are in the future, even though they only have some modeling possibilities, like no special effects, maybe not Fifth Element, but even before. And or like Total Recall style of movie, with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I like how they were creative with the little tools that they had to make a movie set, to make characters, designs, costumes, and everything. And I would say this is a bit my approach to watchmaking and design making. Take what you have at your disposition to build something. Don't search for a tool that does not exist. Just do it with whatever you have in front of you. And that's also why I'm coming up with more like case design, and I'm not trying to make it too complicated with a dial that goes in all directions and has like 5 layers and tells you the time in 10 different ways. It's not necessary. Like I'm sticking to the simple basics of making a product. You make it so it works and it looks cool at the same time. Yeah, these old science fiction movies, they got this feeling while not having computers and a lot of special effects like today, like 3D modeling to make amazing movies. So yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. I mean, I think James, you lit up when we started talking science fiction.
I love science fiction. I love fantasy. Dune is my favorite new movie, and the old Dune was even one of my favorite movies. And The Fifth Element is always in my top 5 of favorite movies. I actually watched it a few weeks ago for the 400th time.
Yeah.
I remember last time I was in San Francisco, there was a museum sort of thing showing off all the sci-fi stuff, and it had all the props and Lilu's outfit, that orange thing that she wore, her actual outfit from, and it made me think how small little Mila Jokovic must actually be. It was tiny.
Oh dear. It's good to hear another, you made you something interesting, also part of your watch inspiration. So I like it. Very cool. James, what have you got to share, mate?
Well, I just have to share, and I've already shared with you via a couple of pictures, but I've recently, my wife and I've just moved back to our main sort of house, and we've been changing up our furniture a little bit, and I quite like the old and new sort of conflicting styles as well, and we're sort of resetting all of our furniture at the moment. We've got a couple of brand new pieces in, like the new couches and things, but we're also getting some antique furniture from these and even before, and I've just bought this amazing roll top writing desk, one of those ones where you roll down the wooden, and it's in stunning condition. It was built in Buffalo in New York, and I bought it for $20, and it just shocks me. Because the person selling it wasn't really caring about the money, they just needed to move it on and wanted to find a good home for it. And I just had to share my excitement about it. I'm not sure if it's interesting, but it was certainly so exciting for me to get this beautiful piece of furniture. I've now turned it into my watchmaking leathercraft station. So I've got all my tools in it. I've got all my bits and pieces, and I can now close this cover over the top, this sliding wooden cover, and I can lock it all down. So as I start to do some more modding and start to be a little bit more involved in watchmaking, sort of, as I look at a watch anyway, dabbling, taking a case back off maybe, I've got a place to do that now, which I think is going to be quite nice and sort of feel quite specific for that sort of interactions.
Yeah. Fantastic. I couldn't believe it when you sent me that, yeah, you were like, oh, I got it for $20. I mean, that's like, what, 10 euros? Not even, yeah.
It's literally sort of 10 euros.
It keeps, yeah. You can see that there.
It's amazing.
Yeah. No, that's a great find. Great find. Fantastic. There you go. Fantastic. Awesome. Well, I'll wrap it up with the something. There you go. Is the camera going back? There it is. It's
It lost me.
Yeah, it found you now. I'll finish up with something that I watched today, which I think is out everywhere. It's the new Michael Jackson biopic. Always been a big fan of Michael Jackson. I think a lot of people are. I growing up in different eras, they still listen to the music. It's one of those very timeless sort of stuff. So I went with my son today, which is kind of cool. Nice to go and go to the movies together and watch it. So yeah, he enjoyed it. It was a ball. I enjoyed it as well. You watch it for entertainment value, and it was great. And then I think I listened to. I still listen to, them is definitely in my catalog of music since forever. But in the lead up to the movie, I listened to it a lot more. And then as soon as we're driving back home, we're listening to it. And then my son, as soon as he got home, was playing bad video and, trying to copy moves and stuff. So it is very interesting how timeless the movies and timeless the music is. So yeah, I mean, look, it's not really a recommendation because I think a lot of people might go watch it anyway. But yeah, if you are keen, you should go check it out in your movies. Is it out there in Germany yet? I think it released already, hasn't it?
It's on my list. I am planning to go see it. Yeah, good that you say you enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if it was a well-made movie or not.
Look, I think I might be biased, right? I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson's music, so I might be a little bit biased. Look, I wouldn't go in thinking that you're going to watch a cinematic masterpiece. Let me just put it that way. But you enjoy it for what it is. I'll leave it at that.
A lot of the biopics are like that. It's more of a storytelling and actually getting some information across. I know when I watched the one about Queen,
this one was good.
It was an amazing movie, but it wasn't a cinematic masterpiece. But it was so interesting. It was almost like an entertaining documentary, almost.
Yeah, I think it's actually the same producer who is in both Michael as well. But yes, I'm not sure whether it'll be to the same caliber as the Queen. But anyway, I won't give away too much. Go check it out. But yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, look, that's it. We're come to the end of the episode now. So again, thank you so much for your time, Florian, and appreciate you taking some time out of your public holiday to come and chat with us today. It's been awesome. As usual, we'll put all the links in the show notes. But what is the best way that people can reach you, Florian?
Actually, my contact details are on my website or on Instagram directly. Just message me. I will answer. Don't spam me, but message me. I will answer. Yeah.
Perfect. We will leave all your links in the show notes so that they can contact you.
But again, really happy. It was a pleasure to discuss with you guys. So yeah. Thanks a lot. It's very nice.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a fantastic talk.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll leave it right there. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Overtime the Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find us on our Instagram at Overtime the Podcast, at Kinda Average Watches, or flick me an email on overtimethepod@gmail.com. I appreciate your support and value your feedback. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics that you would like the podcast to cover in the future, please hit us up. Until next time.